Yo, what's up guys? I'm finally back again on YouTube. I know I've been gone for such a long time, but I've been very busy on TikTok. But now I'll try and balance out my TikTok videos and YouTube videos at the same time. Also, don't mind the blanket on the TV in the back because the ring light is going to reflect on the TV and it's going to do bad on the video. But anyways, I am finally back and I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. I got a hot take to start off here. Rian Johnson is a true intelligent at making a perfect comedy/drama whodunit story. The Glass Onion plot and setting and characters were drastically different from the first movie. It has a much more of a shorter cast, featuring Daniel Craig back again as Benoit Blanc, who's the infamous genius detective, and surprisingly the very popular Edward Norton plays Miles Braun, who is a character that's so similar to Elon Musk and is extremely rich. And Dave Bautista plays Duke Cody, who is this cocky YouTuber. For a WWE wrestler, he has accomplished my trust. I really think he's an amazing actor and nails almost every role that he is in. Janelle Monáe plays Cassandra Brand, who plays a huge part in the movie. Kate Hudson plays Birdie J, who's this almost cancelled fashionista, but at the same time is a very terrible person. Catherine Hahn plays Claire DeBella, who plays this news reporter-esque type of character. And Madeline Klein, who's quite popular, plays Whiskey, who's the girlfriend of Duke Cody. It's kind of a shitty girlfriend because she's just using him. Leslie Odom Jr. plays Lionel Toussaint, who's an absolute tech genius who works for Miles Braun. And Jessica Henwick plays Peg, who I believe is an assistant for Birdie J. All these actors are smartly and wisely chosen to play these never-before-seen, very unique characters. Unlike the first movie where most of the characters doesn't have a very in-depth personality, this sequel has each character drastically different than each other, while at the same time most of them share this very one big thing in common. I didn't mind the idea of the setting being an actual glass onion and having it set on an actual private island owned by Miles Braun, who invites all of these characters to join in staying with him in this private island that he owns. Plus all of these characters like Cassandra Brand, Duke Cody, and Lionel, and Birdie J, and Claire DeBelle are actually all friends with Miles Braun, and he each sends all of them separately this one big puzzle box, and once they solve all of the puzzles, they get invited to his big glass onion island. Except the part here of how the detective gets on the island goes in depth by so much. So far, I really enjoyed the movie and I enjoyed the setting, even though most of the humorous parts did not hit the same as the last movie. For the most part, it really did work. Even when this movie did not disappoint, and yet still did impress me and surprise me with all of the surprises and twists at the end and the third act and the middle act as well. There was a feature in this sequel they implemented in the sequel more than they did in the first movie, was how they were mixing the flashback scenes to go much more in depth and much more ambitious, to having a complete very amazing storytelling, to which I'll say frankly did impress me. But at the same time, with the very ambitious, the layer after layer of storytelling and little plot changes here and there, does get a little bit confusing and hard to catch on at times, and I feel like they went way too deep with its flashback scenes. Even though I dislike the fact that they went very deep with its flashback scenes, it was not a bad choice of direction because it led up to be very worth it at the end. And still at the same time, while it was worth it, with all of this very deep storytelling and flashback scenes, the third act's twist didn't strike me as hard as the first movie did. And I was not a big fan of this movie's ending. I love the execution, don't get me wrong, but the execution didn't hit me as hard as how the first movie went. Besides that, furthermore, what I did really enjoy was how the actors really killed it as making their characters very likable and very unlikable at the same time. And while the movie progresses, we learn more about their characters more and more often, then we can finalize our opinion on whether we really like them or really hate them. Overall, the comedy in this movie was great. The detective work by Benoit Blanc was always so absurd to me, and Daniel Craig was still the star of the show for this movie as well, for having such elongated scenes where he has such long explanation scenes as the detective goes on with his storytelling and kind of exploration with its twists. He really killed it as a detective, and he was really the star of the show for me. Edward Norton as Miles Braun had this very surprising moment within his character, and his acting was actually so believable, I started to dislike him at some point. Overall, the storytelling was overwhelming in an absolutely great way, and kind of better than the first movie, but in general, in my opinion, this movie was not better than the first movie. Besides that, yet again, Rian Johnson does not disappoint within his work of a whodunit story, and this is probably in my top 5 movies of this year, so I will give it an 8 out of 10. Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery is out right now on Netflix and you can check it out for yourself.